I'm a 36-year-old woman with a husband, Tom, and 3 children. Kate, 10 years old, Mary, 8 years old, and William, 5 years old. Since my youngest was born, I haven't had any time away to myself. I haven't had a night out, a girls' trip, or even just one afternoon to watch a movie and drink some wine. Before anyone comments, I don't want to do these things all the time. I know I have a responsibility to my kids. I just think it would be nice to take a break a few times a year, maybe. Because of this, one of my friends, Penny, asked me to come away on a girls' trip with our college friends to the beach for 7 days. Obviously, I was skeptical, since I don't want to leave my kids alone, and I also don't want to force Tom to do everything himself for that long, but she eventually persuaded me. I asked Tom about this, and he said I should go. He would handle everything around the house. He didn't seem worried at all, so eventually my worries faded too. I got very into the idea of a stress-free trip, so before I left, I told him to only call me for emergencies. He agreed. But once I left and I was having a good time with my girls, Tom began calling me at least 7 to 8 times a day with the littlest things. Things like, "Oh, Kate can't find her hairbrush, where is it?" Or, "Oh, where's the salt and pepper?" Or, "What's the name of William's kindergarten teacher again?" This went on for 3 days. I kept reminding him he agreed to only call for emergencies, but he always brushed it off. Eventually, I got so sick of his calls because Tom promised me a stress-free trip, so I decided to just turn off my phone. But on the 5th day, Penny came up to me and said Tom called her and said I needed to come home immediately. Apparently, Mary was riding her bike and hit a rock and went flying off, and she broke her arm in several places. Of course, I cut the trip short and came right back home. But when I got home, Tom was very cold and rude to me. I thought it was just because of the stress of Mary's injury, but it kept going on for days. Eventually, I just asked him straight out what was wrong, and he blew up at me. He said that I abandoned our kids by refusing to answer my phone, and I broke my promise by not immediately responding when it was an actual emergency. He said I don't get to stop being a mother just because of a dumb vacation. I tried to defend myself and said he kept calling me over the tiniest inconveniences and interrupting the trip. Besides, he said he had everything handled. Tom responded that it could have been an emergency every time he called, so it's my job to pick up. But I said this was exactly like the boy who cried wolf, and he said that was ridiculous. My friends are all on my side, but Tom is still not really speaking to me. So I just like other opinions on if I was wrong here. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It's pathetic how little your husband knows about how to run a household he is supposed to be part of. He called for salt and pepper. He caused this with his incompetence and his persistent pestering. Maybe he is mad because he had a bit of a superiority complex, and your traveling revealed he is completely ineffectual. Not the idiot. You are owed a finish to that vacation with no nattering requests for information. Comment 2. I imagine that your husband, who is pretty much the AH here, did not really want you to go on a very well-deserved vacation, and those calls were to punish you in a petty and miserable way. This is a classic example of strategic incompetence. Anyway, not the idiot big time, and seeing that you say that it has been years since you had some you time, good luck. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a week since I got back from the trip, and let me tell you, it's been a mess. I thought things would have calmed down by now, but it's like every day there's a new surprise waiting for me. So, after Tom and I had that big fight, things got really quiet at home. Like too quiet. Tom was doing all the house stuff and taking care of the kids, but he barely said 2 words to me. I tried to talk to him, but he just shut me down every time. It was like he built this wall and I couldn't get through. Then, 2 days after I got back, Kate came to me and said she missed me a lot when I was gone. She told me she was scared when Mary got hurt and she wished I was there. That hit me hard, guys. I felt so guilty, like maybe I did mess up by turning off my phone. But at the same time, Tom was calling me for every little thing, so what was I supposed to do? The next day, I noticed Tom was acting a bit weird around his phone. He kept getting texts, and he would quickly turn the screen away if I came close. My mind started racing with all sorts of thoughts. Was he talking to someone about me? Was he planning something? I didn't want to snoop, but it was driving me crazy not knowing. On Thursday, I picked up William from kindergarten, and his teacher pulled me aside. She said William had been acting out in class, and when she asked him why, he said he was upset because Mommy didn't want to come home. That broke my heart. I didn't realize how much my being away would affect him. I decided I needed to fix things with Tom. I waited for him to come to bed that night, and I just poured my heart out. I told him I was sorry for turning off my phone, and that I didn't mean to make him feel like he was alone in taking care of everything. I said I understood why he was upset, and that I wanted us to work through it together. Tom didn't say anything for a long time. Then, he told me he was sorry too. He said he overreacted with the calls, and that he should have respected my need for a break. But then, he dropped a bombshell. He said the reason he was so cold when I got back was because he felt like I didn't trust him to handle things. And the texts? They were from his sister, who was giving him advice on how to talk to me about everything. We talked for hours that night. It was like we finally got everything out in the open. But it wasn't all good news. Tom said he needed some time to himself to think things through. He asked if he could go stay with his brother for a few days. I didn't want him to go, but I knew I had to let him. It's been 2 days since Tom left, and it's been tough. The kids keep asking when Daddy's coming home, and I don't know what to tell them. I'm trying to keep things normal for them, but it's hard when I'm feeling so mixed up inside. I've been talking to Penny and my other friends, and they've been a big help. They keep telling me that Tom and I will get through this, that we just need some time. I want to believe them, but there's this little voice in my head that keeps asking, what if we don't? So, that's where I'm at right now. Tom's still at his brother's, and I'm here trying to keep it together for the kids. I'm hoping we can sit down and talk when he gets back and really start to work things out. But for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, it sounds like communication broke down big time here. It's good you apologized, but maybe consider family counseling. It can help with Tom's trust issues and the kids' feelings. Plus, it's a safe space for everyone to express themselves. Worth a shot to mend things, right? Comment 2. Well, isn't this a regular soap opera? Look, Tom's doing the brooding Batman routine, but you're not exactly the villain here. Keep those kiddos busy. Maybe start a DIY project or a family game night. Keep it light and fun until Dad's done sulking. Good luck. Now, for the next story. I, 28-year-old female, have always been incredibly close with my sister, 30-year-old female, who we'll call Sam. Since we were kids, we always hung out together, shared friends groups, hobbies, interests, and genuinely liked being around each other. However, she recently got a new girlfriend, 29-year-old female, Trisha, and our dynamic has changed. I don't care for Trisha at all. She's not really rude or unpleasant, but I just don't vibe with her and think she's a bit annoying. I've expressed this to Sam, which resulted in one of our biggest arguments to date. I understand that my opinion doesn't matter in their relationship, but I just don't enjoy being around Trisha. So Sam and I have seen each other less and less, and have been getting into more and more arguments. I recently moved halfway across the country for my job, and Sam asked if she can come and visit. I excitedly said yes, as I wanted to show her all the new hiking spots by me, and I genuinely wanted to have sister time again. However, she then asked if Trisha could come along as well. I don't really have the space or means of hosting at my new place, and despite Sam saying they would happily sleep on the floor or the couch, I just really didn't want to be on while she was around. I told my sister I really just wanted it to be her and I hanging out and exploring this side of the country, and thus began another argument. Eventually I told her, either come alone or don't come at all, which I half assumed would put an end to the visitation plans. But later, she agreed she would come alone. Fast forward to when she was planning on visiting, I'm getting excited and have a whole plan for the week mapped out. Sam texts me when she leaves her place, and since I know it's a 15-hour drive, yes, she chose to take it straight through. She would be arriving at my place around 10 p.m. 10 p.m. rolls around, and she knocks at my door, and I open it up to both Sam and Trisha. I didn't even know what to say or do. I was so shocked. Both of them looked happy to see me, but I just couldn't understand what happened. Eventually, the anger and embarrassment caught up with me, and I refused to let them in. Things got a little heated and frustrating, and it resulted in me telling them angrily to find a motel somewhere or drive home. They both chose to get a motel, after many curse words and yelling, which is where they are right now. My family is furious with me for making them look for a motel so late at night, even though it's a pretty highly populated area with many options around. I'm quite embarrassed and worked up over the whole thing. But don't think I made the wrong move, considering I set my boundaries pretty clearly earlier. I feel like I might have overreacted, as I genuinely don't think Sam or Trisha will ever speak to me again. I just can't believe my entire relationship with my sister has come to such a screeching halt over a girlfriend she's had for just over a year. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot for setting boundaries and sticking to them. Your sister tried to pull a fast one on you and is now paying the price of a hotel room for it. Ultimately, however, you will need to decide if losing your sister is worth it. This relationship may or may not last, but the hurt you just caused will be something she remembers for a long time. If you want her in your life, you need to have a one-on-one with her and let her know how you felt when she lied about coming alone and also springing someone she knows you're not fond of on you and into your personal space. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I started reading this and it seemed you were kind of jealous, which is valid, but not exactly a valid reason to not suck it up. It's her girlfriend, not yours, etc. But now I think you downplayed your initial feelings. It's not, we don't vibe together. You must have smelled something off with her and/or her relationship with your sister. It is not normal for someone around 29 years old to impose herself like this, and definitely not normal for your sister. Yes, you made it big, but it seems this needed to be addressed. Now, for the update. A lot has happened since I last talked about my sister Sam and her girlfriend Trisha showing up at my doorstep unannounced. It's been a roller coaster, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. The day after the motel incident, I woke up to a bunch of missed calls from Sam. I was still mad, but I figured I should at least hear her out. So, I called her back, and she was crying. She said she was sorry for surprising me with Trisha, but she had something important to tell me and didn't know how to do it over the phone. I was confused, but agreed to meet them for breakfast. We met at a diner, and the tension was thick. Sam was fidgety, and Trisha was quiet, which was unusual for her. Sam finally blurted out that she was pregnant. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. I was going to be an aunt. But then, the twist, she said Trisha wasn't just her girlfriend. She was also the biological mother of the baby. They had gone through a fertility clinic, and Trisha had carried the baby for the first trimester before they transferred the embryo to Sam. I was stunned. I didn't even know that was possible. I was still processing this news when Sam dropped another bombshell. She said the reason they wanted to visit was that they were planning to move closer to me. They wanted to be a family, and they wanted me to be a part of their child's life. I didn't know what to say. I was hurt that they hadn't told me sooner, but I also felt guilty for how I had treated them. We spent the rest of the day talking, this linked. And I apologized for my reaction the night before. They forgave me, and we started making plans for their move. I was excited to have my sister closer and to be involved in my future niece or nephew's life. But then, things took another turn. The next day, Sam called me, and she was hysterical. Trisha had been in a car accident. She was okay, but the baby didn't make it. My heart broke for them. I rushed to the hospital, and we spent the night crying together. It felt like the world had stopped. The following days were a blur. We were all grieving, and I was doing my best to support Sam and Trisha. But then, I started noticing something odd. Trisha was getting a lot of texts, and she would quickly turn her phone away if I or Sam came close. I didn't want to think anything of it, but it was hard to ignore. Yesterday, Sam confronted Trisha about it. It turns out Trisha had been texting her ex. She said it was nothing, just someone to talk to, but Sam was devastated. They had a huge fight, and Trisha left. Sam was a mess, and I was there to pick up the pieces. I'm not sure where we go from here. Sam is talking about staying here with me for a while, and I'm all for it. I want to help her through this. But I can't help but feel like there's more to the story with Trisha. I guess only time will tell. Right now, I'm just focused on being there for my sister. We've been through a lot, and I know we'll get through this too. But it's hard not to feel like everything is hanging by a thread. I just hope we can find our way back to each other and rebuild our relationship. It's been a tough few days, and I'm just taking it one step at a time. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, I'm really sorry for what you're going through. It's tough, but you're doing the right thing by being there for Sam. Maybe suggest some grief counseling for both of you. It could help navigate these rough waters and mend your relationship with Sam. Comment 2. Have you talked to Sam about the texting? It's important to communicate. Maybe there's more to the story. It's a difficult time, and emotions are high. Just be there for Sam, listen, and try to understand. Support is key, but don't forget to take care of yourself too. Now for the next story. A few days ago, my two younger stepsisters, ages 9 and 8, found my therapy journal in my room after my mom decided she wanted to do a deep clean of my stuff and clear out unwanted junk. Now, I'm not sure if I totally believe that. But basically, she recruited my stepsisters to help her out, and they went through my desk and found the journal and then read it, all while my mom was in the room. They became upset with what they read, and my mom then takes it off them and reads it too. I, 17 years old and female, was at my grandparents' since the previous day, and arrived home to them in the living room with the girls crying and my mom and stepfather glaring at me. Background. I started therapy at age 10 after my mom and stepfather married. 2 years prior, I had lost my dad to a heart condition, and my stepsister's mother also died, but the details around that have always been very secret. My mom told me just before the wedding that she and my stepfather were expecting me to be a good big sister to my stepsisters and to really take an interest in bonding with them because I was so much older. I told her they weren't my siblings and I didn't want to be their big sister. She and my stepfather then decided that I needed therapy, so I was sent to therapy. My therapist had me use the journal to figure out more of my feelings. Those were things like I resented my mom for expecting so much of me. I resented her for remarrying so fast after Dad died and only giving me 4 months to get to know her husband and never asking me what I thought of him before they got engaged. They were married within a few weeks of the engagement. I realized I didn't hate the girls, but was indifferent to them and had no interest in being their big sister. It also made me realize through the years of therapy that no point came where I would stay in their lives if my mom and her husband divorced. When my mom and my stepfather separated for a period of time, I was happy. All that stuff was in the journal, and I kept it because I still occasionally see my therapist. My stepsisters read a lot of the stuff about them. Between my stepfather telling them I had done all this stuff for them that I hadn't, like he bought them bracelets and said they were from me, etc., which I only found out that day, and apparently, and my lack of outright being cold to them, they thought I loved them and that we were sisters forever, no matter what. My mom and stepfather demanded that I apologize and make amends for the insensitive and mean-spirited things I wrote. They told me I needed to take accountability for what I wrote in that journal and for feeling that way. Once the girls were out of the room, I told them it was not my fault, and if anyone was to blame, it was Mom for inviting them to look through stuff in my room and then not watching them, if that's actually how things went down. They told me to take accountability for my actions, and by claiming it's all on my mom, it shows I am an immature little girl. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. They violated your privacy and read things that you wanted to get out of your head and on paper. What you were feeling at those moments in time might not be as true now. But that's how you work through them. You should not have that held over your head, and I wish they would have been open to having a constructive conversation regarding what you are feeling. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Can you call your grandparents to come get you? You have nothing to take accountability for. Your mother violated your privacy on purpose and did this. You have done nothing to apologize for. They are upset that you aren't fitting the image they have created in their heads. If you feel safe enough, I might ask them why they can't accept reality. Now, for the update. So, it's been a month since the whole journal fiasco, and let me tell you, things have been a roller coaster. After that day, I was grounded for a week, which meant no phone, no going out, nothing. It was like I was being punished for having feelings. But during that week, I had a lot of time to think. I decided to talk to my therapist about everything, and she was really supportive. She suggested that I try to have a conversation with my mom and stepdad about boundaries and privacy. So I planned out what I wanted to say, making sure to stay calm and not let my emotions take over. The talk actually went better than I expected. My mom seemed to understand where I was coming from, and she even apologized for not respecting my privacy. My stepdad, on the other hand, was harder to read. He just nodded along, but didn't say much. I thought maybe we were making progress. But then, a few days later, I overheard my stepdad talking to someone on the phone. He was saying how he thought therapy was making me too sensitive, and that I needed to toughen up. It felt like a punch in the gut. All that talk about understanding and respect, and here he was, dismissing my feelings again. Meanwhile, my stepsisters were still upset with me. They wouldn't talk to me or even look at me. I tried to explain to them that the journal was private and that my feelings were complicated, but they were too young to understand. It hurt because even though I never saw them as my sisters, I never wanted to hurt them. Things at home were tense. My mom was trying to play peacemaker, but it was clear she was stuck between me and my stepdad. She started acting all weird around me, like she was walking on eggshells. It was like she was scared to upset me more, but also scared to side with me against my stepdad. One day, I came home from school and found my mom in tears. She said she and my stepdad had a huge fight about me and the journal. He wanted me to apologize to my stepsisters again, in front of the whole family, and promise to be a better sister. My mom thought that was too much and stood up for me, saying I had a right to my feelings. That night, my stepdad didn't come home. My mom said he was staying with a friend to cool off. I felt guilty, like I was the reason for their fight, but also angry that he couldn't just let it go. A week went by, and my stepdad finally came home. It was awkward, but he was being overly nice to me, which felt fake. He even bought me a new journal, saying he hoped I could start fresh. I didn't know what to make of it. Then, the biggest twist happened. My stepsisters came into my room one night, both crying. They said they missed me, and that they didn't understand why I didn't want to be their sister. It broke my heart to see them like that. I realized that even though I didn't ask for this family, these girls were a part of my life, and I couldn't just ignore their feelings. So I did something I never thought I would. I hugged them, and we all cried together. I told them I was sorry for the things they read in the journal, that it was complicated, but that I cared about them. It wasn't a perfect moment, but it was a start. Since then, things have been okay. My stepdad and I are civil, but there's still this tension between us. My mom is relieved that the house is somewhat peaceful again. And my stepsisters, well, they're trying to be nicer to me, and I'm trying to be more open to them. It's not the happy family picture everyone wants, but it's real, and maybe, just maybe, we can build something from here. But for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Been there with the journal drama. My stepbrother read mine once, and it was chaos. It's tough, but talking it out like you did really helps. Props to your mom for backing you up. It's never easy when families blend, but sounds like you're handling it with maturity. Comment 2. I suggest family counseling. It helped us when my parents remarried. It's a safe space to air grievances and learn how to communicate. Your stepdad might be more receptive with a neutral third party. And it's great you're seeing a therapist. Keep that up. It's a game changer for personal growth. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.